and we are back with the third episode of the Dumb Stuff We Like podcast with Brian and Chris.
Hey, what's up, people? We're back. It's been a break.
A little bit of break.
We had some turkey and some ham, and
Oh yeah, the ham was banging, dude.
the ham went ham.
The ham went ham, and was it sweet potatoes with like marshmallows?
I don't do marshmallows, bro.
All right,
I
not
think
everybody-
that's
not
a
everybody do everything.
sin, personally.
But it was.
You would
good.
do that. You're pagan. I get it.
I mean, yeah. I do not get that in the slightest, but yes, it is me. And we're back on the young episode for December 6th. Good old Friday, December 6th. Rolling December strong. It's cold, you know.
It is.
It's a little bit of chilly. I mean, it's wintertime. That's what you hope for. No snow yet, though. It did snow one day last month, which I think it was maybe in October, early last month.
No, it was November.
Okay, it was November, yeah. But I'm looking forward to the snow. Rest of the holidays, you know, we're in mid full holiday season flex right now.
Heck yeah.
Next up,
Heck yeah, brother.
creamy.
Oh yes. I can't wait. I love Christmas.
These are the
I love the Christmas spirit. I love the holly jolly. I love the Santa. I love the music. I love the commercialism. I love the capitalism. I love just the
Consumerism?
greed. I love
it's great. you
the
know
whole
what I'm saying?
thing. The colors.
We get it in, and it's. I'm looking forward to the holidays though. You know, I always look forward to holidays. You know, this is a time where family comes together. You know, you hang around with your folks, friends. You know, people go snowboarding. People get new stuff. The new hotness comes out.
The new hotness. The new fits. You out there
Oh.
checking your fits. Doing that fit check. You know what I'm saying?
Fit check, crep check with kicks. You know what I'm saying? Making sure
Kicks.
your feet is on point.
KOTD. You know, kicks of the day. All that
Right.
young people
It's-
slang. Whatever, man.
It's
Hashtag.
on. We're in full rotation right now. Everything's
You know what I like doing though for Christmas
What do you-
personally? I actually, because I've spent a lot of Christmases alone. It's
Yeah.
very sad sounding.
I
Because
know-
I
I
spent a
know
lot
that.
of Christmases on my own as an independent young
adult.
right? I've learned that I would still like to celebrate Christmas and be like, oh, unwrapping presents, right? Like that's kind of stuff you kind of miss when you're on your own, right?
Yeah.
So what I've done throughout the last like few years, not recently because I haven't been so alone recently, but
Right.
what I've been able to do is I actually wrap. So you know, I order whatever that I want, or I buy whatever I want. I wrap it, put it under the tree, and then I wake up Christmas morning like a kid, happy in my PJs or whatever. And I get my dog, I wake her ass up. We go out there, and I'm like, "Woo, presents!" And I'm like opening them like an idiot, not like pretending like I don't know what it is. I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." Sometimes I thank my dog. I thank
Right.
me mostly, but you know,
Right.
thank God for the monies.
Bless
You
up.
know, bless up. But you know, I do that, and it's kind of keeps the magic alive. It makes me look like a crazy person,
Right.
but the only person that knows about it is me and the two other people that listen, which
Right.
is me and somebody else. So that's
Right. So
That's it.
I can see that. You know what I'm saying? It keeps your spirits up.
there. You go.
Regardless, you know, some people could just be dour, be sad, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, that they're by themselves. But it's like, no, I keep the energy up. It's like you have a birthday party for your kid. Your kids don't know what's going on. Like when they're real young, they don't know what's going on.
That's a
but
good
they,
analogy.
But they detect the energy though. They can feel, oh, we're happy right now. We're vibing.
Yeah.
Or even with your dog. Your dog doesn't know what's good or bad in the world realistically. But if you're vibing, you're good. Hey, everything's great.
You're right.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
Keeping the energy up is always good. Keeping positivity, keeping all that good and rolling is definitely the way to go. And we're gonna do that all December. All the podcasts for December, definitely we're gonna have the energy up.
Energy high,
'Cause it's
high
hot.
energy. As a matter of fact, what I just found out is we have a sponsor.
Oh snap!
Can you believe it? So we are actually sponsored by drumroll please. Monies. We need monies. Please send us some monies. We are not actually sponsored.
Right, $3 bills. Y'all.
Just,
what I'm
you
saying?
know,
we're doing this out of the kindness of our hearts.
We do it out of the
We do it for
kindness
y'all.
of
We
our
do it for
hearts.
y'all. You know what I'm saying?
We do it for you
Ask
personally,
not
single
what we can do
listener.
for you, ask what you can do for my pockets. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Thank you.
And I would greatly appreciate
You're right.
anything,
All the money, all the
Right.
proceeds will go to
a good cause.
us.
The best cause.
The best cause. To upgrade our podcast.
Right.
You guys are probably tired of listening to our really like intensely horrible quality.
Right.
But we could hire on an editor.
Right.
We could hire on
I know people.
Whatever.
Logos and stuff. We're looking at getting graphics and all that stuff worked out. I know somebody.
We're already in Christmas 2025.
Right.
We're trying to be like where we are already like successful,
Right.
lots of fans.
Right.
We kind of had like a backlash because we made a really bad tweet. Like we're on that
Right.
already.
Say fake it till you make it. We had. There may or may not have been us faking like we had another podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Like this isn't the third episode of this. Like what? What y'all sound like really good like rapport, even though y'all only been doing this for 3 episodes. It's like you know what I'm saying? There are and there may be other episodes on the YouTube channel, but that's not real like podcast stuff. I don't know what that is, man. That's some other stuff.
That's just some other dudes.
This is us talking, man. But this is full. We're full production mode right now, and getting into full production mode. You know what I'm saying? We got to do a little bit of housekeeping. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When you're running production, you got to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Right.
And first thing to note is there are no, and when I say no, I mean no Baby Yoda toys. And I don't know what Disney was thinking.
Dude.
When I want to say we mentioned this last time. I don't care. This is the holiday travesty. This is the Grinch stealing Christmas from everybody. I don't know what they were thinking. But there are no Baby Yoda toys. Because if you have a loved one, someone who you love, and they love Star Wars, even if they don't, you let them watch that second episode of The Mandalorian, and they don't love Baby Yoda, you need to get them out of your life. I don't know what you don't need that kind of negativity.
Everybody loves Baby Yoda.
I have yet to see a negative thing about Baby Yoda anywhere. So that means that everyone would love getting a Baby Yoda toy, plush, something, and it does not exist. They have some official stuff, garbage, look like somebody of Teespring made it, trash. But that's it's a travesty. I can't believe they did this to us.
And I guess the main reason, from what I understand, is the showrunners wanted to keep Baby Yoda a secret, or whatever they're going to end up calling it, right? But it's like, the cat's out of the bag, dude. Like, it was a big deal, but
you should have released this show in October,
right?
Or September if you wanted to keep this under wraps. That way you could have hit the holiday season. Because Christmas Baby Yodas, you would have made the money for the show back.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. So there are still a few weeks left.
Right.
They could start coming out. I know it's ridiculous because you have to think about like what toy production even looks like.
Right.
A lot of the stuff has to start in a factory. They had these designs before the factory could even create any of these, right? And they push them out in mass. So yeah, it might be too late, but we never know. Star Wars is about to hit, and it could just come out where like Star Wars comes out and Baby Yoda is like out on the store shelves like right around the same time. But the thing is, like the toys for the Star Wars movie,
right?
Those are already dropping.
Right.
Like the toys, the Legos, those are already dropping. So it kind of makes you wonder. But there's some other stuff that, from what I understand, they're keeping under wraps too, because there's supposed to be an episode in The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian is going to run through that whole 2-month-long time that the Rise of Skywalker is going to be in theaters.
Yeah.
So there are going to be references, apparently, from what I've read and heard, rumors, that there will be references to what happens in the Rise of Skywalker within Baby Yoda, which kind of doesn't make sense because it takes place between the trilogies.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you just reaching things. Yeah.
Right, but like they could still foreshadow, or they're allowed at least at this point. So whatever happens in the Force or this next Star Wars movie, they can kind of maybe create like references, Easter eggs, things of that nature that will hit. So that stuff's kind of cool, and it lends me to believe that, yeah, maybe eventually a Baby Yoda toy could pop up before the holiday seasons are over. So let's not give up any hope. And on to our next bit of housekeeping. The Echo and Reverb, that's probably going to be on this housekeeping list. I'm not going to try to hammer it on too much. It'll be like that until we can figure it out. We are not professional. We're probably going to say this every week. So I'm going to try to do it. This is my last time I'm going to try to do it. How about that? We'll say this is the last time we mention it.
We've made solid efforts to combat it. Hopefully, you'll be able to notice in this podcast a little, at least a noticeable quality improvement, of that issue. And going forward, we're just going to be a little something. We'll continue to combat it how we're combating it right now. and hopefully the quality is better and stays better.
Right. So we are aware of that. That was it. That's all we had for housekeeping. So without any further ado, let's just get right into some of this news. And the first new topic is, what do we got?
We got this Wonder Woman 88.
88? Is it 88 or 84?
84.
84. I mean, who cares?
I'm number
80s.
I'm sorry. If I had to say some numbers, there's no guarantee that they're going to come out right. I promise. That won't be the last time. But we got some new art revealed. Her golden armor helmet.
Yep.
Kind of like a motorcycle helmet, which I don't doubt Wonder Woman at some point is going to ride a motorcycle in a movie. In this movie.
Did she not in the last movie?
It was World War II. I mean, she might have.
I get confused because I think of
movie.
Captain America, and he rides a motorcycle in World War II.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm confused.
I guess it was motorcycles in World War II, but no, she wasn't. They were in England at the time. You know what I'm saying? We mastered cars and all that stuff. America.
The historical fact that America had motorcycles and England didn't?
I think so.
No, dude.
I think we were first. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, no, that's called ethnocentrism. That's what that is.
I think we were just first. Like we were the first to fight North Carolina before everybody else in the United States.
Oh, so you're out here saying we're the first to motorcycles too?
That's what I'm saying.
Without knowing for a fact?
Hey, it's possible.
All our British listeners, tell him how wrong he is.
Hey, I could realistically look it up. But
we could look it up right now.
You know what I'm saying? I could.
How about this?
The first thing they considered a motorcycle. Oh goodness.
How about this? How about I'm pretty sure Ducati may have invented it. I mean, they're a big Italian brand.
Possible.
But how about this? How about I hit on the next news topic, and you go ahead and look up whether or not America even created motorcycles first, or if it's something we got from somebody else.
I ain't looking nothing up because I'm American, and I ain't got.
I'll look it up then. Anyways, yeah, the helmet does look pretty sweet though. It's got a golden eagle kind of design. From what I understand, it's from the comic books, where, of course, everything's from the comic books. What am I saying? It is from a limited run. No, that's not true either. Basically, it's just part of her paraphernalia, right? She's got the invisible jet. She's got her sword. She's got her shield. She's got her lasso. She's got all these different items on her that they haven't really expounded on, and it's kind of cool that they're bringing her armor in. I still don't see what the purpose is to put armor on someone who's nigh invulnerable, but it does look cool at the very least. It kind of looks like a Power Ranger helmet, actually, like old school. Like it's got because it has like an animal design on it too, so you kind of get that feel, that vibe from it. So that's kind of cool. And I guess that also comes. So we've only seen the helmet. It's not like on T-shirts or something. They're selling like Target, but the rest of the armor is supposed to come along with it. So that'll be kind of cool to see in the movie. And I think it does kind of lend itself to the 84, the 80s aesthetic where it's going to be shiny and it's going to be popping and it's like it's in that like Tron era, right? It's like
neon.
Like
I think that's what when some of the first art came out, it was like Wonder Woman was like either spray paint or like neon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was like the art style that at least the logo had.
Right. So that'll be dope. And that trailer is actually supposed to be dropping this weekend from what I understand, but that trailer is going to be at some kind of like closed event, so that trailer may not actually come out online for a little bit. We don't know. You know how these things are. Sometimes they get shown at like Comic Cons and things like that, and they don't come up on the internet immediately, or sometimes someone leaks it. So we don't know yet. But this weekend is kind of what everybody's been, the rumor mill has been churning out is, look out for this weekend. Wonder Woman's supposed to be coming out with a trailer, which should be cool because we haven't seen any trailers for it yet, and I believe it's coming out next year. So it'd be cool for them to start pushing marketing for that movie.
I wonder if it's supposed to come out in the summer, or it might be later in the year, realistically. Considering later news topic we're going to get to, trailer for Black Widow dropped.
Right.
Wednesday? Or yesterday? Was
it dropped Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that looks like it's going to be wild.
Mm-hmm.
Straight wild. And that would be interesting to see, like, Wonder Woman and Black Widow battling out in the summer. Especially considering that Wonder Woman was one of the better DC movies so far. That and seeing like what kind of legs would Black Widow have against that? That'd definitely be just interesting to see the summer battle out like that.
Right. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. A lot of trailers dropped this weekend and this week. I'm sorry. So we're pretty hyped for that. And then there was some other news that we had here. What else did we have? We had the Star Wars poster. So Star Wars has been releasing TV spots left and right.
Right.
And
there's at least 6.
You gotta look at this like, do I want any part of it? Like, if you're a big like invested fan in the story and not wanting to spoil it for yourself for the last movie, I would stay away from the TV spots. To be honest, it's been relatively easy if the only thing you watch is online content, because you'd have to basically not be paying for a service in order to see the ads, right?
I've like went out and watched the ads specifically on like the Star Wars YouTube channel.
Exactly. I had to go find them mainly because I'm not a peasant and I have like premium accounts.
We cut the cables.
So
we cut the cord.
I don't watch commercials. I don't know what that means anymore. Right. So they had a lot of TV spots, and those have kind of been spoiling plot points here and there or whatever. I think it helps build hype for the movie, though, so I'm excited. But apparently the poster was confusing people because some of the design choices, they're like, oh, I can't tell. Like, Luke is on the poster, right? But everybody knows Luke is going to be in the movie. The movie is called... What's the movie called?
Rise of Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
That's Luke's last name.
And then they actually had... how they had Luke on the poster was like, he was on the side, but he was on like the side of Kylo Ren and like Rey at the same time. It's like he kind of trained both of them.
Right.
That's kind of the duality of this. This is really like the Rise of Skywalker. It's like his legacy at a point. Both of them are at different levels.
Right.
Because he trained both. He feels like he caused Kylo Ren to fall to the dark side and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that realistically makes sense.
Yeah.
And whether people are happy, salty about it, or whatever, like feel like the poster's spoiling it, Luke is the face of the mainline Star Wars.
He's the penultimate Skywalker Star Wars character. Is Luke.
Like I mean, I have my theories on basically Sheev Palpatine, the Emperor, being at the beginning, causing all the events to happen, at least the first 6 movies, and depending on what he does or has done in this 9th movie, if he's even there at all. I mean, they could be just trolling it. That would be great if they were. He could have. It's really the rise of Sheev Palpatine, because he's done it all at this point. He's just been there from the beginning, really. Oh, hey, young Anakin, how are you? You're gonna make a great Jedi. Oh, hey, Anakin, you make a great Darth Vader. Oh, hey, Luke. You know what I'm saying? He's just been there every step of the way, and I almost appreciate them bringing him back as like his line versus the Skywalker line,
right?
And that crossing really is what these numbered Star Wars movies have been. And so at a level, I can appreciate that, as long as I'm not time traveling. I'm good.
I don't see time travel happening in this movie. I think more than likely there's going to be some clone shenanigans. Yeah. But other than that, because clone technology is a thing that already exists in the universe, so
which is really funny. Like, I think about that. It's like, oh yeah, people talk about like cloning Luke and stuff like that, and I'm like, what? Who does this? This is crazy. What? Wild. And then I'm like, oh yeah, the entire Clone Wars.
We have clone troopers.
A single guy.
We have a whole movie about it.
Literal million times. I'm like, or millions of times. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess cloning is a thing that's
right.
Just common.
It happens.
Realistically,
it wouldn't be like such a stretch.
Right.
But yeah, I think the poster looks pretty great. I mean, it's a Star Wars poster. They're typically pretty great, but I don't think anybody should be upset that they showed Luke. He was in the last 2 movies. He's in this movie. There's a story arc they have to finish. There's a bunch of stuff that they haven't answered, Knights of Ren, all this stuff, and they've popped up in trailers and TV spots.
Right.
So
that's definitely something people are looking forward to.
Right. So I think it's just you should know before going in. Yeah, Luke is probably gonna be in the movie, regardless of if he's a flashback or a ghost. He's probably he could be 100% corporeal. We don't know if he's gonna be an actual like, oh, I'm back. I'm actually not dead.
I'm actually not dead.
It could happen. So. It's Star Wars. Anything's possible at this point. So I wouldn't rule it out. But, don't be so salty. Star Wars fans, that's kind of what you guys are known for. So everybody chill out. Act like The Mandalorian, Everybody's really happy. There's, like, no arguing over that show at all.
I mean, in mainline, just a little bit more Star Wars movies is like that. People act like the only good parts were the first 3 movies. They've done so much other stuff that have been good.
Right.
It may not have been the rest of the movies. I mean, though, the prequels have
They have their merits.
their merits, profits, in the memes. And like even the movies, when you watch them and when you have a full understanding of what's going on,
Right.
even the story that's being told, it makes sense. It at face value, it may not be a good movie, but there are things where like, oh, when you're paying attention to what's going on, okay, these events, you get to watch the fall of this guy. You may not like looking at it or paying attention to it, but you're watching the parts and pieces fall into place. But that to say that I don't know of many people who've had anything negative to say about The Mandalorian.
Same.
I mean, who weren't saying something that didn't seem like this is completely like you're saying something just to say something.
Right, right.
This is not like, oh, hey, this is a legitimate gripe I have with the movie, and I was like, oh, okay, I can think about that. Where you're just commenting at it just to come at, and this like why? Almost it's like people can enjoy stuff. I mean, I'm not like, oh, blah blah blah. This is like, I'm not saying like people like you can have problems with certain things, like even like last season of Game of Thrones, like, or it was something else I watched too, or Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power. Like some things like, yeah, you wasted a bunch of time doing random stuff, and then you skip through all what would have been the interesting part to see more of. Game of Thrones did that. I'm not sure what shows do that at the end. Hopefully they don't do that in the Star Wars movie. And Mandalorian's in its first season, so I'm pretty sure its legs are gonna just allow it to be carried on into infinity. And I hope Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are able to assume some larger involvement in the generation of Star Wars content to come.
We can only hope. They're
our last hope.
We had some we had some other news this week. Of course, there was the Bond trailer that dropped. That was Wednesday.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die. That's right. That's the name of the movie. The trailer looks all right. I mean, it's a Bond movie trailer.
Right.
It's pretty like par for the course. There's nothing crazy in the trailer. There was nothing so like over the top. I think what they really wanted to like pinpoint on, like at least in the teaser, was like, yo, his car's got guns. And this is the Bond that doesn't have the ridiculous stuff going on.
Yeah.
So that's like a little bit extra. And it was cool, but it wasn't so mind-blowing, I think, as they wanted it to be.
Right.
And I'm sure in the movie it'll be great, but they kind of hammered on it in the trailer, if you saw, because it was like the trailer built to that point.
Yeah.
And then like the guns come out of the headlights, like the Gatling guns.
Yeah.
And the car like does like a 360 donut thing,
Yeah.
and he's like firing. And that's cool, but I wasn't like, wow, like,
oh no.
yeah, you're not like, driving a tank over whatever. It was just like pretty standard fare. There is the whole like Bond is retiring and they have to pull him out of retirement. Like, I'm too old for this.
For how many times? Like,
This is like the third movie that they've had to pull him from retirement.
from somewhere else. Either he's like just chilling, minding his own business.
It's like life imitating art, imitating life again, because
Daniel
Daniel Craig doesn't want to be a part of it anymore too, and they keep pulling him back. So it's kind of funny in that. It's like ironically funny in that kind of sense. But I guess we'll be interested to see the new Bond, I guess, quote unquote. It's the female who's supposedly taking over. The new double agent, I'm sorry. And then possibly a new Bond, because that's always kind of what they're like looking for next.
Yeah.
Although the Bond movies don't really, in the movie, they don't really pass the torch like that. It's kind of just like, this is the end of the Bond movie. He's retired or he's done, whatever happens, right?
Which, I mean, in the movies, I guess, play themselves like really interesting because the character is supposed to be a single person who's done all of the stuff across like all of the different movies. He's a single guy who did all of this wild and craziness. And I think this series starting with starting showing you his first kill in Casino Royale. Like he gets his first kill and then basically becomes a 00 after that. And then like you watch him go like through the rest of the movies, and it's like, how does Bond get through like a movie and a half and he's retired now? Like, it's like, I haven't seen him do literally one thing. He dealt with one lady and that ruined him. He's done now. The series has been interesting, especially Quantum of Solace. I remember the second time I watched the movie because I didn't realize I had seen it before, and then I watched it the second time and I was like,
What?
I've seen this movie. And it was so boring.
That's the one about water, right?
Maybe.
That's the dude in the desert.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one about.
That happens.
It's like water is more valuable than oil or something.
Something weird like that happens, and I remember that movie was so boring. I still don't know the plot, because I watched it the first time and I wasn't paying attention because I did not care, and I went to watch it again on purpose because we were going to watch Skyfall, and I was like, oh hey, we need to watch the other ones. So you watch Casino Royale, good. Went to watch Quantum of Solace. We're like, what is this movie? and so I still don't know what happens to Quantum of Solace. Skyfall was great. I enjoyed it. It was great. I enjoyed the movie.
It was good.
But and this is the fourth or fifth?
Fifth, I want to say, because
Oh,
then
yeah,
there
'cause
was
you had,
Spectre,
Spectre.
and I thought there was
Spectre.
one before that.
I'm not sure what Spectre was. Which one's Spectre?
Spectre is the one with Blofeld. They showed him in the trailer for this movie. He's
okay.
he's
Got it.
what's his name plays him?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz plays him. He's got the eye thing. He's a classic Bond villain.
Got it.
So, and I think there's also a character in this Bond movie that is a classic Bond villain as well that they're introducing. It's a female. She's got one of those crazy names.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they have like they're supposed to be in this movie. Inspector Oddjob was in that movie. I think he was played by Dave Bautista.
Oh,
So there's like small
They
hints
sprinkle it
here
in
and
there.
there that are kind of cool that you get to see. I mean, my favorite Bond has always been, and maybe eventually we'll do a Bond like episode. My favorite Bond has always been from GoldenEye, but the GoldenEye that came out on like Rogue Agent or something like that. I think it was
Okay.
GoldenEye. Well, you don't play as 007, you play as like 006 or something. Like you
Okay.
play as the guy who betrays the 00 program. But that game is really fun in itself. Like you get to be like the GoldenEye agent and all this stuff and Odd Jobs, like all these characters in it. That's my favorite Bond storyline. But that aside, I'm pretty, I don't know, lukewarm. Like it's a Bond movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see it.
right.
Do I really care?
I'll see how it
No.
stacks up. I mean, this kind of plays into our main topic later. We're gonna get to a little bit later, but like how these action movies play into like either with superhero movies, like or even the things that cross the line of superhero movies, like Hobbs and Shaw and stuff like that. Like this, like what would you compare this to? At least in cinema, would you? I mean, other than just other James Bond movies, would you compare this to a Mission Impossible like that? And like
It might be even tougher to. It's like a classy Mission Impossible,
yeah.
which this is gonna kind of suck to say, but it's like a more boring Mission Impossible because Mission Impossible now has reached a point where it's like it is like a superhero movie. Like you're right, it's like a spectacle.
Yeah.
Like you go watch a summer blockbuster. So James Bond doesn't have that summer blockbuster feel. I don't think it ever really has,
Yeah.
unless
think about
maybe
it,
in the '90s when it was like over the top ridiculous.
Yeah. Pierce Brosnan doing whatever he was doing.
Right.
Like,
But like
It wasn't
nowadays,
real good, but yeah, it was trying to be that. Yeah.
right. But nowadays it's a little bit more like classy and subtle, and it's also post like Jason Bourne era. So it's hard to like even replicate some of that where you want it nitty and gritty, but
Yeah.
people kind of want like the ridiculous stuff back. So
Say we need to do a thing one day, or I don't know if we can do a thing one day because it just involves watching so many movies or just getting so much information on like how shot composition and stuff in movies has changed, like how your long take is now a thing movies have now. Like people will go out of their way to do their one action sequence with the long take in it and do all that, like you're hiding your cuts and all that good stuff. Like how movies were like at a point. Do we get to a point to where we could just do jump cuts and then they just started throwing jump cuts at us like crazy? Was there long takes before?
I think
mean-
there's definitely something about like action movie eras,
Yeah.
if you want to say that, where the 90s and the 2000s had their specific, like you can tell the eye test. You look and you're like, that's a 2000s, so that's a 90s movie, right?
Right.
And then like I said, you get to the Jason Bourne. I would even say like Jason Bourne was one of the first movies I saw where it was like shaky cam, I guess, right? And like some people really hated it. It got really bad as the movies went on. Like by the third movie, it was like I can't tell what's happening in some of these
Right.
scenes. But that first movie, you're like, wow, like this fight scene is really sick. And I think
it.
another thing too was like no music, right? And it was just like two guys fighting, and it was just like the sounds of them fighting. And yeah, it was kind of like shaky, but it wasn't too much. And then from then on, movies were doing that,
Right.
like for a while, right? So, I mean, even Captain America, Winter Soldier, was very Bourne-esque, like when people describe it. But again, we'll kind of like filter down into that discussion in a little bit. We do have a few more things on our news list to get through before we get down there. There was some video game news. It was Batman Arkham Legacy, I believe is what they're supposed to be calling it. I actually think that's the official title, I want to say.
Yeah,
Because there was information leaked on Twitter, like slowly. I wouldn't even say leaked. It was slowly let out by WB Montreal, who is producing the game. And this is the same company or same group of developers that did Arkham Knight or Origins. I'm sorry, it was Origins because Knight was the last one. Origins was the one that was outside of Rocksteady. So it's the same company that did Origins. So for those of you who didn't like Origins, you may not like this one. I think they're all fine, to be honest. I think Origins was just as good as the other ones. Knight was the only one where I was like, some of the game is hard to get through because it's like shoving this tank mode down my throat.
Right.
But I'm excited. I love Arkham games. I'm always excited for more Arkham content.
I'm interested to see how the game like looks and plays. 'Cause I'm not sure how far into this console cycle that Arkham Knight came out, like the new console cycle. So I'm interested to see like how it looks, plays. You know what I'm saying? How they were able to iterate on it, if they did. I mean, it's been like a little while.
Arkham Knight was kind of within like the second or third year because I had picked up the collection for the Arkham series, and then they dropped the one for PS4, which was Knight, and then they dropped it all together, and I was like, okay. So it was fairly early, but it'll be interesting to see what it's like now that Spider-Man and Jedi and like the Dark Souls and all these other God of War, all these action games have come out.
Right.
Who like especially Spider-Man like replicated it and like did it in a Spider-Man way. I don't know if it's better, but it's like it gave it its own feel, and it kind of, I would say it advanced it for sure. I would say that it put it on the next level, right?
Right. The combat system that really Arkham Asylum like gave us, and then the mini games that have like replicated that. Spider-Man did it in a way where it's significantly more believable.
Right.
I mean, for the characters, you know, Spider-Man has a spider sense. Like, really, he has a spider sense. He can detect attacks that are coming in, dodge bullets, all this stuff like that. It played better. I mean, I remember playing Arkham Asylum and liking it, and even I think I played the next game as well, but I didn't beat it. But I played through Spider-Man, and I was like, face melting. This is Spider-Man 2. This is my Spider-Man 2 from when I was 6 all over again. It's like my world is being opened up.
Right.
And definitely, shouts out to good old Insomniac for Spider-Man 2.
Definitely.
The Marvel Spider-Man for PlayStation 4.
And I can't wait for the next Spider-Man game.
That game was great.
But
definitely look forward to what else they can do.
But yeah, the Legacy game, Arkham Legacy, I think right now a lot of people are hoping for Court of Owls, which I think will be a great place for them to take story. The Arkham games have always had a very solid story, very, very grounded in comics, but still its own thing. And the stories themselves always stood on their own. Like, they were great stories. Even Arkham Knight, like, you can see everything coming if you're a comic book reader. But it was a great story. I loved it. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this Court of Owls one. And, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be Court of Owls. It's called Legacy. You kind of start thinking, does that mean Damian? Does that mean Robbins? Robbins have been in the game before, but not in the way that Damian has been brought up in the comics, especially within the Court of Owls. So we can only hope, for me at least personally, I think Court of Owls would be a great way for them to do the next Arkham game. It'll be super fun, and of course, seeing all the Rogues Gallery and everything back in the game. So
definitely, if they, I don't know necessarily they'll play. I mean, a game called Legacy, if they'll play into the sidekick part of it, but being how that, if there is any sort of system with that integrated, how that'll play after God of War having coming out.
You're right.
And playing through God of War, like, it's completely different types of games. But, like, playing through that game where that character, Atreus, isn't really annoying to you. Like, because Kratos addresses him as such, like, you and Kratos are in the same spot, so it's like, okay, Kratos knows what's going on. This is not like your character's just dealing with whatever this character does. Like, the character's there, and Kratos is dealing with him, and you're like, okay, you're addressing my problem, so we can get through this better.
Right.
Than you just being like, oh, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to the game. I can't believe this isn't the whole game. Why?
Yeah. So they've built off of the whole Joel and Ellie like system where she's just like doing whatever she wants, and the character doesn't acknowledge, like, she's just walking behind, like, what do they call clickers, I think?
Yeah, clickers.
She's just like walking behind them, like throwing shit and like doing what she wants, and you're like, yo, like, stop it, like, freaking out, right? So it is cool to see it's more integrated into like the story and stuff. And if they've been working on this game for a while, then we can expect, I think, at least a decent showing. So yeah, that's supposed to be dropping within the next like week or so. So December 12th, because Game Awards I think is around that time as well.
Right.
So Game Awards is always a big place where you get, I guess, quote unquote surprise trailers will drop for stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for another Batman game. I'm really hoping that they do show a trailer. I think that would be great.
Would definitely love to see that. And on to the next little bit of news.
This
Get
is
to the most. If I had to guess what the most violent movie of the year was,
maybe Joker, maybe.
I mean, you would think that.
Yeah.
I mean, and you wouldn't be. I wouldn't hold it against you for you thinking that. But
Violent? You mean like in the movie violent, or violent
I mean, violent reality. People, human beings.
Like watching a movie,
watching movies
and being ratchet.
The people going to see. Who do you think? Whose fans do you think?
Oh, definitely. I would think Joker. There was so much in the news about it. I didn't see a lot happen, but that's the movie I would think.
Well, and I can hold that against you, but you'd be wrong.
Oh, really?
Frozen 2.
No, now you're making it up.
Yeah, that is Frozen 2.
This is real.
Say, what is being touted in the news in some places? You know, they don't. Disney doesn't let you get too far. Disney controls a lot of the news.
Right.
Look that up. But the Frozen 2. It's like the teens arrested after a 100-man brawl.
It sounds like a Super Smash Brothers title.
Right. It's like 100-man melee. Like really. It's like machetes were involved.
No.
And where do you think? Where would you guess this took place?
It's machetes, South America or like Southeast Asia.
I wouldn't fault you for thinking that.
Okay.
But we're gonna bring it a little closer to home.
Oh, really?
Birmingham, Alabama.
No. Okay. Well, where are they getting machetes?
I mean, hey, they're kind of in the woods, you know. I guess.
No, don't play with me. You don't just take your machete to the movie you're watching in your town.
I mean, maybe you do. I mean, if they were in Texas, I believe that because you can like carry swords in Texas.
Yeah, but your machete, like,
you can carry swords in Texas. You can open carry swords.
guns make sense, right?
I mean,
that's an American thing.
That's your default for Texas, but you can now carry swords. So it's like, I would lean into that. I mean,
where are you hiding a machete?
Down the side of your pants, like you had a shotgun. You know what I'm saying?
I guess, right?
You could, realistically. I mean, you just don't hide.
At which point in the fight are you just like? Do you think you just like immediately are like?
You start with the sword.
Yeah,
out,
you just pull it out already.
Like,
or like when things start going back, you're like, okay. I mean, 100 people. That's a lot of people. That's That's like 2 movie theaters.
That's a slick brawl, like real brawl. I don't know what the fight was over.
Right. No, teenagers fight over anything.
People fight over it. Yeah, realistically.
It's just weird that it happened during Frozen 2.
Right.
I feel like that's a very family friendly.
Yeah.
Solid outing, but I guess people get really. They can't let it go. No, you guys didn't get that. Let It Go. It's the most popular song from like Frozen. So.
I mean, I don't really want. I mean, this did take place in Alabama, and I don't really want to speculate on what's going on, how relationships develop.
No, I'll speculate. You know what happened? Some hicks down there in Birmingham, got their machetes out and went and watched Frozen 2, and got upset when the lady started talking back to the man because it's a female strong movie, and I don't really like that much.
I don't like it at all. I mean, who really knows? No one knows. Only those involved know what was going on, and most of them might not even. You know what I'm saying? 2 people, like that's happened before.
That's
2 people got to fighting over literally nothing, and this hyper brawl breaks out, and then they just fade out of it. Like
then you're just fighting people that you don't know why you're fighting them.
You don't know
but someone's got a machete, and you're kind of like, I hope that guy leaves.
Right. You just hope you can make it out of that. But yeah, that's the most violent movie of the year. We're going to go to Frozen 2. They win that.
Good job, Frozen 2. Woo! We have an applause here for that. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So what else is going on, man?
We also had, there's some Marvel news, as it happens every week. So Doctor Doom, everybody's Doctor Doom, right? Well, Doctor Doom is rumored to be showing up in Black Panther 2. Now, I personally think this is genius, considering the kind of character Doctor Doom is, And what Black Panther kind of represents, as he represents a kingdom, right? He represents a king. He is the king of Wakanda. So you have that, whereas Doctor Doom is kind of like the emperor, so you say, of like his own country in the comics. Latvia. And they're kind of like a weird, like, Slavic, like, castle type of town that sits in that area, but he keeps all the technology for himself.
Right.
So I think it'd be very interesting to introduce him in that movie. And I know that movie's supposed to be coming out like way later, like 2022, I think, is something like that. But the rumor mill is strong, and that's what they're projecting. I think there's a lot of credence behind this. I like the idea. I think that's why it makes me think that it could be possible. Yeah. And it just makes so much sense. But who knows? Doctor Doom could show up in the Black Widow movie, like, for all we know.
Or even in, what the boy name? Doctor Strange's movie.
Yep.
Potentially as
Two
well.
doctors. Doctor.
Because, I mean, and I think that'd be a good way to, I'm not, and that's another thing I keep thinking about. I'm not sure what I would like to see them introduce first, now that they have the Fantastic Four and X-Men back. Which side of that do you go for first? We just had a X-Men movie with Phoenix.
I think you go. I think
you could really realistically go, and then the last Fantastic Four movie was, woo. So I mean, realistically, leading with Fantastic Four first, doing some jump off of that,
right,
and then circling back to X-Men. I wouldn't be really upset about it.
No, I think it would be a good move, but yeah, so I'm excited for that. We also had some other.
And you're doing the Skrull stuff right now too, which is
no, you're right.
Fantastic Four and Skrulls
that's a thing for sure.
Those are hand in
so
hand.
I'm sure that I think the Fantastic Four. You're right. I think the Fantastic Four is more primed because we have Skrulls in the universe and we have all this other stuff, and Doctor Doom is kind of easy to slide in anywhere really.
Right.
But now that we have like a country that a superhero owns essentially.
Right.
Then we can kind of see that, like, those machinations working out, and it's kind of easier to see that. But then we also had some other movie news, which was, what was it again? Transformers, right?
Yeah. Transformers franchise is ready to reboot after the success of Bumblebee.
Heck yeah.
And,
I mean, to nobody's surprise. But
I mean, no one's real surprised. I mean, but how they ended Bumblebee, I mean, this was like a year ago, realistically. Like about a year ago.
Last Christmas.
When the movie came out. How they ended the movie, they left it ambiguous enough for it to like line up with the original Transformers movies. Original, I say original, but the Michael Bay.
The Michael Bay
Transformers. They left it so it could line up with that. No real biggie.
Right.
But I think looking at it now, how well Bumblebee was received, and the different direction a different director is taking the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be definitely good to reboot. People wouldn't be upset with them over that. I mean, you can do something not well at first, but if you're able to like correct it and then just push on, people are like, okay, yeah, I got it. I don't. This isn't another Michael Bay popcorn. Oh, hey, I don't really think about it, because if you do, you're gonna start wondering how Sam Witwicky ended up in Robot Heaven, type stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you adjust,
God, I hate Transformers movies.
You don't have to. I mean, that movie, Transformers 2, was something else. Like that took the cake. That's also the movie with the giant robot with the boss. That
oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, don't remind me.
Was
that movie gives me a
wild.
headache. I know some of you out there are like, I like the Transformers movies, and your opinion is terrible if you think that.
I mean, I think I went to see that movie 3 times the day it came out.
Wow. So you were one of those.
But
I can't believe you right now. Top 10 anime betrayals right here.
But I understood. I mean, hey, it's different. I understood what I was watching.
No. Fast and Furious gets the pass.
Right.
Transformers does not. Transformers does not get the pass.
Transformers does not get the pass. I mean, hey, this was 2. This is before I knew they were gonna get to the point to where you don't even show Transformers transforming anymore.
They had
a blob of
by 3 they had the Beats Pill Transformer. They had I'm like shaking. I'm so angry. They had a machine, like a Oreo vending machine, which I've never seen, by the way, ever.
Right.
They had an Oreo vending machine because product placement,
God.
and it turned into a Transformer. It was called Oreo Bot. It's like in the credits. It's credited Oreo Bot. You know how pissed off I was when I saw, like, I didn't see it in the credits. I saw much later. And the fact that there's a robot that is just an Oreo machine and he shoots out packets of Oreos, that is like a child's like dream / my nightmare. So,
I mean, I did like in the first movie when like the AllSpark like got dropped and then, like,
and the toaster came to life.
The toaster, the Xbox inside the box, the Mountain Dew vending machine, like it was a bunch.
That stuff is fun the first time, but then like
the first time, yeah,
it's like Oreo Bot.
And I mean, but Transformers in movies is gonna be just wild product placement. Like in the cartoon and stuff, you're like your cars are ambiguous enough. There are no like actual logos for companies and stuff like that. So it's like there's no need for like wild product placement. Transformers are the product, so it's like it doesn't need for that. But when you have the movies and it's like it just gets wild.
I bet right now that Elon Musk's truck, the Tesla truck, is going to be in the next Transformers movie. And if it's not, I will.
There's gonna be a Tesla. Okay,
I'm gonna say the truck. I'm gonna specifically say the truck because it looks the way it looks. I think it's gonna be in the movie. I don't think it's gonna be a major character. I think it's gonna be in the movie. And if I'm wrong, then what's a good punishment for if I'm wrong?
I don't know. You gotta watch the original. You gotta watch the rest of Transformers. You gotta watch Michael Bay's movies.
Crap, like a marathon.
Yeah,
I'll do it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's punishment.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
I know a lot of you are like, that's not that bad. That's like 9 hours of just like hell. So I think I'll take that bet. I would say
Optimus. Yes. Oh man.
I would say that I think the Tesla truck, specifically the Tesla truck, is going to be the next Transformers movie.
We'll have to see. That's definitely.
It's
keep your eyes out, listeners.
Right.
When that movie comes out and you watch it and the truck ain't in there, come here because we gonna be. I'm like, hey man.
Then you know the next episode that we do will be a Transformers episode.
Michael Bay is coming. It's coming for you, on your dreams. So what else we got, man? What else is going on?
So we also had.
Actually, I think that's
pretty much it because we really wanted to talk about the main thing this week that we really kind of got excited about, like other people did, was the Black Widow trailer, and that came out Tuesday, and I was really happy with it. Actually, I kind of didn't have any expectations because it's Black Widow, but
really not knowing what they're gonna do considering what they did with the character in Endgame. You're like, okay, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really excited because like they showed stuff that I haven't seen before, right, in a Marvel movie.
Right.
So that was cool. It kind of gave me the Deadpool vibes when she's like doing the flying out of the, like she's doing the skydiving because I've seen it somewhere else.
Right.
But I'm pleasantly excited. It has like that like espionage, like that Captain America Winter Soldier kind of like filter on it, and
right. I think it was like a almost like Russian espionage type film.
Jason Bourne-esque.
Right.
Something
we haven't not necessarily have seen a lot of in movies, and like think of like even like the characters, like her dealing with the sister in the trailer.
Well, sister, quote unquote.
Right. I mean,
it's probably just somebody who's in the program, right?
Realistically, and the guy there are several characters who I'm thinking in my head that I would not know the actor's name, but it's Hopper in
Stranger Things.
Who his character is, I think of some character, but I cannot remember the name.
I don't remember his real name, but he's called the Red Guardian. The actual character, like when he puts on the suit. So there's this guy in the trailer. He's like a stand-in for like the patriarch of the Widow family, I guess you could call it, where he is like in this Captain America-esque suit. I keep using the word "esque" and I'm hating myself for it.
I mean,
it harkens to Captain America. It's like a Russian version, right?
Was red.
It's just red.
That would be it.
That's all it is. A Cold War answer to Captain America, but like a campy version because Winter Soldier is also already the Cold War version of Captain America. So, yeah, we have what he's known as the Red Guardian, and he's come up in the comics a few times. He's not like a big character. Every time he shows up, he kind of like dies or something happens to him and he goes away. But he was Russia's answer to Captain America, and they built him. and he was like a knockoff version of like the super soldier serum, so he had very similar power sets to Captain America. Yeah. That's not really evident if it's going to be that case in this movie. I don't think it will be. I think that he'll be like peak level when he was younger, because he's obviously like older.
Right.
He's got like a beard. He's like scratch. He's kind of like homeless looking.
Right.
And he's put the suits on. He's gotten fatter, and that's not like, if I would think that he had a Captain America super soldier serum, I would assume that he isn't getting like fat as he gets older.
I mean, depends how much like you just decide to stop training and start drinking. You know.
I suppose. I mean, I guess it could happen, right? But like, his character's always been kind of like this background character, which Marvel, the MCU, has known to pull from. Right. So it's cool that they're doing that. He's shown up in like a Russian version of the Avengers, called like, what were they called? I can't remember, the name slips off the top of my head, but like they had like Colossus was supposed to be in that group.
Oh snap!
So there are some people saying that Colossus may get pulled in through this movie, or there'll be like a
references
nod or a reference, like, oh, they're passing like, what's his last name, whatever his like name of his house, like Peter, whatever, right? They're gonna be passing his house or something, and that would be really cool. Or even like Omega Red, like having a reference, that would, to me, Omega Red would blow my mind more than having like a Colossus reference. Colossus is cool because then we know for sure, like, so they are planning to bring the X-Men into the MCU, right? But Omega Red, to me, would be like that next level, like, holy crap, I can't believe they even referenced this dude. You know, I think for me that would be super sick. And then it starts to make you think about like all the different like Russian versions of like superheroes they have in Marvel Comics. Yeah. And it's pretty cool. They have like a legitimate bear. It's just like a bear. It's a mutant bear. Just a bear on steroids.
There you go.
And he's part of the like Russian Avengers. So it's great.
Get it done.
But yeah, the Red Guardian is kind of a good guy. He's like a good guy. He's not a bad guy.
Right.
Russians have always been shown in the Marvel Comics, at least, to like not be offensive. They've always been shown as like they have honor. They don't want to do things that would cause dishonor. They've been used as bad guys as well, but like when they are like characters like,
there's like some guy who's there. It's not like the entirety of Russia. It's like
exactly. So the Red Guardian has those kind of like, yeah, I want to win and I want to defend my country, but I won't do things like dishonorable. Like if the guy's gonna fight me hand in hand, I'm not gonna shoot him with a gun, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I wonder like when the Red Guardian was created.
I think it was Cold War era.
I mean,
legitimately, but they stayed away. Marvel Comics has always stayed away from big events because they don't want their comics to be tied to a time frame. Yeah. They want them to be timeless, so they never mention it.
And I said that because like depending on if you're like, I guess Superman really was the only thing that really existed around fucking World War II time frame.
Pretty much.
There's probably like a couple other things maybe, but like realistically, if you're creating a character around then, it's like Russia isn't our enemy at this point in time.
Right.
Not realistically, we have a common enemy. And we're working to try to do that. So, like, you can create heroes in these other cultures from other places, and it's like, bam, this represents our relationship at the time.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one character that showed up in the trailers.
I'm not sure who the other two characters are supposed to be.
Yeah, so like the blonde Black Widow, she's supposed to be a Black Widow.
Yeah.
So that's just supposed to be a moniker for these like these like girls that are brought up through this like assassin school, right? But I guess she's probably got a very close relationship with Natasha, almost a sister relationship. And then you have the mother played by Rachel Weisz, who I don't know what character she's going to be. Maybe like an older Black Widow. It's not really clear. But then the final character that shows up in the trailers was Taskmaster. Yeah. And I was pretty hyped for that. I think Taskmaster has been a long time coming in the MCU, and I'm glad that he shows up. It kind of sucks that he shows up like after Captain America's like all old. So I would have liked to see him fight Captain America. But seeing him fight like these guys first and kind of get introduced this way, I'm hoping he doesn't die in this movie. Right. It'd be really cool for him to like continue on and like see him face like other superheroes.
I like to see like the stable of bad guys like continue.
Right.
Like to grow, not necessarily
get iced every movie.
Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? Like where you can have a thing like even with like Spider-Man, it's like, oh hey, you want to have Sinister Six or whatever, but it's like kind of hard to do that if everyone dies. So you
put them in prison.
Not gotta like do what you need to do, get them in prison, and then they can do whatever else. You're solving the problem. You're not supposed to be killing people. You're not Batman. But But yeah, just do what you need to do to disable them, put them in prison, so one they can return later, and then you can basically get more out of the characters and that build up these relationships. It's like, oh hey, you interact with this bad guy for like 6 minutes, and I gotta have like 30 minutes flashbacks to show how this person interacted with you your entire life, so I can feel what's happening right now.
Right.
And it gets to be that artificial when you can see this happen. Oh man, they had this whole movie where they were just doing all this other stuff, like Doctor Strange and
Baron Mordo.
Like they had a relationship, like in this movie where they're like, oh yeah, dealing with each other. So when like they're they're at odds with each other, it's gonna happen because it's comic books. You have parts and pieces. You may not know exactly how it's gonna play out, but you know they're gonna be at odds with each other. You're like, okay, yeah, I have a reference from when what's going on right now wasn't the case, or events outside of just what's inside the single piece of content.
Yeah, so yeah, just like he's saying, like it'd be cool if they kept a lot more of these villains. I think Taskmaster will stick around. I think that because this is supposed to take place between Civil War and Infinity War.
Yeah.
So it's that small time frame where she's going to be doing this work, because I guess her hair is similar to how it was in Civil War, or like it's right after or something, or like what it looks like in Infinity War. And if you remember, after Civil War, because she helps Cap, she goes into hiding, and then she shows up again in Infinity War where she's saving Vision and Wanda
with Cap.
Cap
and what a boy name?
Falcon. I almost said Hawkeye. Falcon. So like you can see like there's some time there for her to go do her own adventure. So that's cool that that's where they're placing it. And I'm sure it's an MCU movie, so this is the first Phase 4 MCU movie, which is awesome. And so I'm sure we'll get some hints towards the rest of the Phase 4 products. But like I said, Taskmaster, I love him as a villain. Like in the comics, he's a character who has this like extreme photographic memory where he's able to copy any movement he sees and replicate it perfectly.
Right.
So in the comics, he's always fought against like characters who are a little bit more like agile fighters, people like Daredevil or like Spider-Man. He's even fought Deadpool, but he's always kind of lost because Deadpool doesn't even know what he's going to do next.
Right.
But like Taskmaster will like copy their moves or study them and then just replicate or counter their moves with their own moves. So he's just like basically like a copycat character as far as fighting style goes, but he's fun in that sense that he can like match these heroes with their own fighting styles. So that's very fun. I know it's gonna kind of come off as like, oh, Marvel's just doing like a good bad version of like Black Widow. And like I wouldn't say that. I think Taskmaster is gonna be his own character.
Right.
He's charismatic in the comics. So
yeah, and I think even another thing, like I know like a lot of the iterations I've seen of him, he has like a shield and he replicates basically what Captain America does.
Right.
Because really Captain America's like the peak of like a human like physique and all that type of stuff. So a lot of his actions mimics him with like a shield and stuff, but he uses like a sword and that type of stuff. I definitely think like the character is interesting in what he does. He's mercenary out trying to get money, working, doing whatever job comes up. Realistically, he hasn't really had his own nefarious thing that he's pushing, but someone's hired him to do something. So here he is to do that. And I think having types of characters like that would be interesting. Like I think character Crossbones they have at the beginning of Ultron, where they're like he shows up really just to blow up. Realistically, and I think
true.
He was the character on the ship in the Captain America movie. Was that Winter Soldier? What Captain America movie?
It was Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he got on the boat and he was fighting. He fought Batroc the Leaper on the boat, but there was also this guy was there as well, and basically didn't capture him then. But then he showed up again at this point as Crossbones. So I'm pretty sure Batroc was the guy like Cap is fighting like. Has like a time fighting up on top of the boat. That was Batroc the Leaper.
Yes.
And that's like I play Marvel Heroes Omega, so like all these characters like.
Well, the guy that plays Crossbones was the dude who was the Hydra agent who fought Cap in the elevator and was like, Cap, this is like we're taking this.
So,
that main guy.
And
that guy becomes Crossbones because when he takes his mask off, you can see the scars from when Cap like effed him up.
Oh, okay.
So that's where he gets
That's
his
what
crossbones
okay.
thing, and he gets like the enhancements. But
Oh, excuse me.
yeah, no, I can't remember where you're going with it, but
Or no, so
ha-
basically just talking about like how characters can reoccur,
right,
right? Not necessarily even that character, or specifically just mentioning how Crossbones had appeared before this.
yeah,
This wasn't just like, oh hey, I'm a guy with superpowers now. What to do? And I'm
right.
dead in like 8 seconds. There was history with this character. So it's like what he's doing is like, oh, he sees Cap. He's here to fight Cap now. He's here to get back with him. I know why he's here. Like it's not like, oh hey, I just appeared. These guys are stealing some stuff. I'm a bad guy that's with them. Oh no, explosions!
Right.
Like he's here to get he's here to get his get back, and you can follow that in the movies if you're watching more than one movie.
I think it's cool too that Marvel can kind of dig into like a movie like this where the stakes aren't as high, obviously,
Right.
because they've done like at this point the maximum amount of stakes they could hit.
Right.
So it's cool that they're like, yeah, we still have stories to tell. And you're like, okay, like I can still get behind and watch this movie, even though I know like the future for this character, really,
Right.
realistically, I can still watch and be like, this movie is cool because they're introducing all this stuff. And I still think the spectacle looks great. Like her skydiving with the white suit, that looks sick. I got like GI Joe vibes because it's like Storm Shadow or whatever the dude's name is with the white ninja suit who fights Snake Eyes all the time. Like
Yeah,
I got
Storm
a
Shadow,
I got a lot of that vibe going on. Her having a classic costume.
Drop ball, Jesus.
So yeah, like there's a lot of cool action stuff happening in this movie,
Yeah.
and it is. I wouldn't even say it's like typical Marvel. It is typical superhero,
Yeah.
and there is some like Jason Bourne stuff in there. There's some Winter Soldier stuff in there, and I think that makes for a good mix for a fun summer movie.
Right.
So I'm excited for it. But that just leads into our next topic, which is going to be a main topic. We're probably not going to spend too much time on it, but just basically just how superhero movies have kind of taken over the action genre
Right.
in a sense, where the things you expect from an action movie almost have to match.
What you expect from a superhero?
Right, exactly. And it's like the James Bond thing. It's like our James Bond hype, if there was hype before, may not be as great now because of movies like Black Widow that are going to be coming out.
Right. Or even like Winter Soldier, or even movies who are not necessarily jumping the shark, not movies that are jumping the shark themselves, but their series has jumped the shark, or movies that are specifically that are coming out in series that have jumped the shark. Like oh man, I was just thinking, or Mission Impossible.
Right.
Mission Impossible, where he's doing wild stuff. I mean,
Over
I
the
know,
top.
Tom Cruise is
Yeah.
like doing make sure he does his own stunts. Like has this stuff where he's making sure his character isn't doing something like realistically superhuman, like even in just what he's doing. But it's still like, yeah, your stakes are wild.
Right.
Or even the Fast and Furious, which has leaned into beyond what normal people can do.
They don't care. They don't
like
even care
physics.
if it seems superhuman.
Yeah, like wild physics stuff.
They
like,
did it
have
like
fun with
6
that.
movies ago, so it doesn't
Right.
matter anymore.
So yeah, in Fast and Furious Series 2, Hobbs
Hobbs
and
and
Shaw,
Shaw.
where you had Idris Elba literally as a superhero, like
Right.
with just powers, like literally enhanced human abilities, like where it's like, how has this like affected how has this affected movies, and how do you get more normal things out of that, like even the Kingsman and stuff like that. Even I bring up the Kingsman, Kingsman 1 and 2, where it's like your bits and pieces. I mean, Kingsman 1, I mean, yes, it even like, it's almost like, I'm pretty sure it's like off of a series of some sort. Either if it's not
Kingsman?
amazing. Yeah.
Kingsman is a graphic novel.
Okay, yeah, and that's really what I was thinking. Like it's something based off a graphic novel where the universe is like ours, but a little bit more.
Yes.
Like souped up.
It's like who writes it? It's the same guy who did Kick-Ass.
Okay,
So it's that. Well, that's why it looks a lot like that too. It's in that same vein.
I can see that.
So that's why it has that flavor to it, where everything's a little bit more punchy.
Yeah,
You know, a little bit more visceral, I guess you would say.
yeah, I could definitely see that. People's heads exploded in the first movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even, oh, that the church scene in the first movie and stuff
Right.
like that, and like that say, and even the church scene or even the diner scene in the second movie are diner scene's a little bit more spectacle. I mean, more spectacle or like superhuman abilities. Some of the moves that were happening in that were a little wild, but it's like that, like being able to have things like that. Like how do action movies like still like how do they slot in with normal things now? I mean, you can. I mean, there are places for different sorts of action movies. If you're like a military movie or something like that, like where it's everything it's doing is relative, is grounded, whatever, and they're progressing towards whatever goal they're accomplishing. But how does this other movies like spy stuff and anything like that like rack and stack up? Like
I think
another heist movie or something like that.
I think a good way to look at it, a good place to start looking too, is so we have the superhero movies that like typically do well every year.
Yeah.
They're about the same beats, really, like especially like the intro movies.
Yeah.
Right. But if you look at a movie like Angel Has Fallen or Olympus Has Fallen, like that series,
Yeah.
or any of the other like countless action movies that have come out that have like not flown under the radar, but people were just like, yeah, I saw it, but there was like nothing else coming out that weekend.
Right.
That's when you know like action movies don't have like a legitimate like place anymore because superhero movies have replaced them.
Right.
And I would even say like it's happening to other genres where like my favorite spy espionage movie is Winter Soldier. And like I know some people are like, I can't believe it. Like, no, dude, like it's a spy movie. You're crazy if you don't think so. Yeah, it's a comic movie, but the tone is there. Like,
yeah,
there's espionage, there's like subterfuge, there's the whole thing, and I think it works as a espionage movie. Like, it's my favorite espionage movie,
right.
And like Ant-Man is fun. It's probably not the best heist movie,
Right.
but it's a decent heist movie, and it's funny. Some of these Marvel movies, comedically, are some of my favorite like comedies
Like
I've seen.
comedy band, like it'll win that.
Right, like Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
It's almost my favorite comedy just because it's so quotable. And so like, yeah, I think it has replaced a lot of movies when it comes to the certain genres, and I think a lot of people don't like that.
Right.
Like, but people who are watching movies like just like blockbuster popcorn movies, they don't care. They're speaking with their dollars, and like.
Right.
Those movies are getting replaced. Like, even your Transformers and stuff, people go watch that, but that's kind of a superhero movie. That's, like, based off of, like, a kid's, like...
And went to see... Oh, yeah, because I was thinking about, like, last year. Went to see Bumblebee and Aquaman.
Right.
Last year.
So, and those are, like, tentpole movies.
Oh, and Spider-Man.
Right.
Into Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse. Those are tentpole movies for the year.
In
Like, Star Wars even doesn't have as much hype as, like,
Right.
Endgame anymore. And Star Wars was that movie. Remember the hype behind... what was the Force Awakens?
Yes.
So much hype, right?
So much hype.
So much hype. That doesn't match the level of hype
That the Marvel
that
movies had.
Endgame got.
Right.
So
So I remember even for last year, realistically, Into the Spider-Verse was the best movie I saw that year.
yeah, I could say that.
Even better than Infinity War. Like this year, easily you have Endgame to crush everything else. But last year, realistically, you watched Infinity War and you're like, man, this is wild. I'm not even sure how a production quality, like something you go sit down, eat popcorn in a theater for it, can top this, and then you go watch Into the Spider-Verse. You're like, I don't. What are people like? Why are realistically just superhero content able to push out the quality like that? Why can't something else just boom and come and just do this? Not these type of numbers. And most things, even like or even at the blockbuster level, are something that is from something else.
Right.
Realistic. No, very very rarely are you going to have some high grossing thing that's its own original thing enough that it's not derivatives of other things. Thinking about like Titanic, Avatar.
Basically, James Cameron movies, Terminator 2.
I said Terminator 2, Endgame, and stuff like that. Movies that have gross stuff. It's from something else. It's not like this movie isn't the only, like this movie's the creation of this content, and that's an interesting place to be where people are trying to get so much money out of like different things. A movie I've seen that I thoroughly enjoyed, probably my favorite horror movie that I've seen easily in the last 10 years. Hereditary. I don't know if that. I know like people who like produce that, they make like their smaller movies and stuff like that. But that, like, after watching and laughing at all the Insidious movies and like different stuff like that, Paranormal Activity, all that crap. Watching Hereditary, there were points in there I was like, no, this is like, the movie was legitimately like, had like its gore at a moment, and then like the rest of it is just like, that's not supposed to be happening. I don't want any of this. Nope. And like me and I'm not watching this in a vacuum like by myself. I'm watching it with friends. So usually we're just laughing at stuff, and we're all like,
Right,
we're not even
right.
sitting in the same place. And we're all like, no, man, this is a good. So it's like there are genres that exist. I mean, I'm not sure Hereditary is based on any other media, but I don't think it is. And since I don't think it is, and it's not in my head right now, I'm gonna look it up. But it's like, that's a solid piece of content that came out, but people aren't like hyper talking about it. People who has seen it are like, oh yeah, this movie was really good, whatever. But it's not like, oh hey, yeah, this real great horror movie you should see. People are still hyping up like the 13,000th Insidious derivative witch doll nun thing that they're watching, and this is like, they're crapping those movies out, man. And Hereditary, as far as I'm understand, isn't really a part of all of that's going on, and was a solid horror movie, or horror suspense like thing. Like it like that was good. So I mean, that's what's really on top. We're just discussing movies in general at this point, and how
they've
like,
changed.
what genre. And speaking of horror movies, that actually works perfectly. I wonder what they're going to do with New Mutants. This would be the horror.
They pushed it back.
I mean, they kept pushing it back, but now it's all owned by Disney now. So I'm like, what are they gonna do with this movie? Are they gonna release
Disney
this movie at
Disney
all?
Plus,
Like,
Netflix.
I wouldn't. I mean, it's
Hulu.
It's a movie, realistically. I mean, I guess it could just come on Netflix. I'm tripping. I'm thinking. Once you said Netflix, I'm thinking like Netflix series. But I mean, they realistically could just release it on Disney Plus. I wouldn't be really upset about that, because I'm not sure where it was going to land anyway. Realistically, I want to see it. I want to see it just with some of the characters that are in it. Magic, who is character mutant Magic, who is Colossus' sister. Her power set is like amazing. Basically, she's like the reason most of the stuff that's happening is happening, because her power set is like real crazy like that. Wolfsbane, played by Maisie Williams, I think is what her saying from Game of Thrones. Not Sunspot. There's another character who's in there, but different like other characters that I'm aware of in X-Men that I've liked seeing in other content. Just how that would play out. I wonder if they're like take it back, do reshoots, and realistically try to come out with a horror superhero movie, and what place won't superhero movies attack is realistically the question getting out of that. Where if
technically they've already done superhero horror movie. Brightburn came out.
Brightburn came out, but I guess even Marvel. I'm just like,
Marvel. It's like Marvel property.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe Brightburn did come out. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Marvel is really. I don't think Marvel is necessarily. That's their game plan, is to like hit every genre and like do a movie in that genre. I think it just lends itself to certain characters to do certain movies. Like Thor Ragnarok was more like, it's not so much that it's a comedy, but it's like it's Taika Waititi's take on that character, and he is more of like a comedic type, like creative.
Yeah.
And then I've
seen other things that he's done. What We Do in the Shadows, the movie and the TV and the TV series.
So like his flavor is that, right? And I think that's what ends up happening in Marvel movies. It's like the director's creative flavor comes through, and like the Heist movie by Peyton Reed, I think is his name, because it was supposed to be my favorite director, who is, the name is slipping me. It's crazy. He's the one who did Scott Pilgrim, and he did.
Oh, okay, I cannot remember.
And he did the Shaun of the Dead movie, and he did Baby Driver.
Oh man.
And he does great movies. Now I have to look him up, but basically those flavors of those directors. I mean, they ended up handing it off to Peyton Reed because there was creative Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Right?
Yes,
So,
okay,
like, everybody's like, this is going to be amazing. Like, finally we get Edgar Wright to do a Marvel movie, right? Fortunately, there was creative differences or whatever. There was a disagreement. And then they give it to Peyton Reed, who did a decent job. But a heist movie worked for that character,
Right.
especially because Scott Lang's like a thief. So it works, right? So some of those movies lend itself to those types of characters. Russo brothers, for whatever reason, decided to go with the espionage thing in Winter Soldier, and it worked amazing.
Right.
And then from there, they built their whole freaking rest of the resume off of like Marvel.
Being able to handle ensemble casts well
Right.
in film, and I think that's another like part of like what these movies are doing and touching that no other movie has. I mean, you have Ocean's 11 and stuff like that, where you have like all these characters and trying to balance them all and do it reasonable. But then you're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go into in Infinity War and Endgame, where we have some 20, 40 plus characters that we're all trying to get some level of screen time with. That what they're doing is meaningful enough, and then
Because those interactions matter.
Yeah.
Those interactions are what the fans are going to see.
right,
In an Ocean's movie, you don't care about any of the characters.
Right.
So when they have these small interactions, you're like, whatever.
right,
But when you see like a character from possibly your favorite Marvel movie interacting with another character from a different side of the Marvel universe, that's gold to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you see like Rocket interact with Bruce and Tony, and he's like pretending like it's exploding, like the gauntlet is exploding, and like that's a Rocket's thing. And it's funny to see they're just like pissed off.
And him talking for the first time, and then Tony being like, "I could have sworn you were Build-A-Bear."
Right.
Like, stuff. It's
You can't get that anywhere else, and that's the thing that shines through in superhero movies. DC eventually, I think, will get to that point,
yeah.
and they're struggling. It's slow start. I would love to
like
see
Shazam.
DC
The last movie
be able to
that came out
land
was
it.
Shazam, and I like Shazam, and I really like Shazam.
Like, but you also watch Aquaman.
I did not like Aquaman.
And you didn't like
I
it.
like Wonder Woman though, but so it's not like I have a just general issue with their movies. I liked most of Wonder Woman. They ended that movie poorly. I didn't like the way that movie ended, but they you seeded the ending of Shazam enough for it felt like it was warranted. That was what needed to happen at the end of the movie. It wasn't like, oh hey, this hasn't been referenced. I mean, it's been referenced at all, but there's no reason to believe that this is going to happen at the end of the
Right.
movie. And then here we are. Now it's CGI fest for literally no observable reason from before 3 minutes ago. You'd have never expected this.
You know, another thing too. I think what helps Marvel movies. This has become like a Marvel versus DC thing, but like what helps Marvel movies is the fact that they hand these franchises off to different directors, so you can get a different flavor. Because if you have one director directing two different characters in two different movies,
Right.
then that tone follows through for both characters, and sometimes it doesn't apply. Man of Steel is kind of it was a dour and sad movie for a character who's supposed to be like uplifting and like kind of funny
Beacon
and
of hope.
fun and like
Yeah.
and like not like campy, not like Brandon Routh's Superman Return, but like still like an inspiring character, you know what I'm saying? And even the trailers pulled off like this is gonna be an inspiring movie
Right.
kind of thing, and then it ended up being kind of just a sad movie, to be honest. And then you had that follow through with Batman v Superman, and that tone would have worked with a Batman movie,
Right.
but it doesn't work with the Superman movie.
They're interacting at levels where it's like this.
They're both the same character,
Right.
and they're both reacting to each other, but
They
it
just have
doesn't
different
work
powers.
well.
They're the same character with different powers.
Right.
It's real weird.
So I think it works better if you're like, yeah, we let this director kind of do their own thing with their character. Then when they interact with this, it's like that director's interacting with the other directors,
James Gunn
like
writing the stuff for,
attitudes, right? Yeah.
Characters in Infinity War.
Yeah,
It's like,
James Gunn with Taika Waititi and the Russo brothers, and you got Peyton Reed, like all these different directors whose their own flavors kind of shine through
Yeah.
with the help of the actors and everything and the actresses. But like all of that kind of combines into this like wonderful jambalaya gumbo type
Right.
deal.
It's like this is great.
It's great.
more of
Like
it.
it's stew going. So it's great. And I think DC they're on their way.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a rush to get there, and I think now they're like, okay, they got James Wan to do Aquaman. I love James Wan. He does like, I know you don't like Insidious. I know you don't like Conjuring and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like
but the horror part of Aquaman when they're on that ship and the things were coming, like that was definite. You could feel that. I mean,
that's where he was like,
yeah,
"This is fun for me, right? Making this part."
Like, yeah, that part was intense, and like I could feel like the movie shining through in that moment,
Right. And I think
versus like a lot of the other stuff that was going on.
I think as I push that and not try so hard to make these, because a lot of the time it feels so unnatural when they try to tie them together. Whereas in the Marvel movies, for whatever reason, I couldn't tell you. I'm not an expert. I couldn't tell you why it feels so perfect the way they feed into each other.
Right.
Like it doesn't ever feel shoehorned. You don't hear that a lot when you talk about Marvel movies.
And I think even come with the current like DC movies because they
kind of took a break.
They didn't establish Batman in the thing before. I mean, you had a Superman movie that established Superman. They didn't establish Batman and then allowed you to like, okay, eventually he meets Superman. They just like literally the first thing you see is Bruce Wayne like, I can't believe Superman would do this to my city. Like that's
right.
What's happening is like, I haven't seen you protect the city. I haven't seen how you protect the city yet. And then I see how you protect the city a couple seconds from now. I'm like, oh no, Batman, Superman might need to stop you.
Right.
Like,
are you sure you're not the bad guy in this movie?
So and that like, I mean, I realistically get if Batman was not killed. Like, they don't say he killed people, but you watch the events happen and you're like, these people are dead. And if he wasn't realistically taking people out and causing people to like get killed and all this other stuff, Superman really like he had to need to have interest in you. You're vigilante justice, but you're not killing anyone. No one's dying because of what you're doing. So it's like he probably realistically wouldn't have flew over to say anything in the first place. But and then Batman's like opinion of Superman was colored by events that have already happened. So it's like he's already really out of the thing. So the movie, like realistically, it being rushed. Wonder Woman just coming out of left field, like there's a lot of parts of just that I wish they'd taken their time on, and also killing Superman. Well, like Superman earns his death in so many like different medias, and you feel it. Like when Superman dies, like a little bit of everyone else dies. It's portrayed so differently, and like they earn it in other parts. Like it's just too early. Like you get it to you remove him to add stakes, but you don't leave him dead for an entire movie. Like he's gone for 45 minutes of movie time. So it's like what am I gonna do with that? Why did you do that? Why don't you just have him fly off planet for a little bit or something? Like,
all this to say we're huge DC haters now.
I mean, and that's just me not liking the story of the thing. I love Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
I would say most people around our age who grew up watching Justice League on like Cartoon Network and stuff, or WB, wherever it was on, would agree with you. Like they prefer, like nobody cares about the Avengers until Iron Man hit. Nobody cared about Iron Man until Iron Man hit.
Right.
And then when the Avengers initiative started popping up, Marvel started banging these out, and people were like, "Yo, give me more." And now everybody's like a Marvel fiend. But back in the day, I wouldn't even say back in the day, like 15 years ago,
you were either realistically Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, maybe Flash, and X-Men. And
Spider-Man. X-Men is Spider-Man. That's it.
That was it.
That's all you had. But then like Avengers dropped, and then it was just like forget the rest of this. Right. And DC was playing catch up the whole time.
I mean, even while you had the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, those are great, and people were there to watch them. Blah blah blah. Superman has. I mean, I don't know which of the Superman movies anyone would consider good. I mean,
I think the original Superman Christopher Reeve movies are fun. I think they're good movies.
In their time, like that stuff like that.
Yeah,
this was good. You being able to see Superman, him going through like his trials, tribulations, and stuff like that. Like they actually made a movie and not just, oh hey, I'm here for the spectacle type deal. Like you can deal with Superman and see why people would like have hope in him, want him to succeed and that type of stuff. People just work like. And I think even how Zack Snyder portrayed Superman in Batman v Superman, like them worshiping him, is like, I mean, I get society's kind of like that, but it's like let them live in like
Right.
some version of the real world, like where it's not just like, oh, you're a god to us. Like, I mean, some people would be like that, but like allow them to live in what Spider-Man has to live in. Like J. Jonah Jameson exists. He's like, Spider-Man's a menace. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like,
Right.
it's Spider-Man's intentions are good because you can see the character, but it's still just like there are other characters who aren't so sure on what he's doing,
Right.
and like Lex and stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean,
that's wild in that, but I'm still looking forward to watching Wonder Woman, whatever else.
Black Adam.
Black
I
Adam.
think that's the next
Yes.
movie after
Oh
Wonder
yeah,
Woman.
I don't know if
Because I think Flash got. I think they were like, no, we're not doing a Flash movie. And I think that the Batman movie keeps getting changed up like every 2 weeks. They keep changing like information.
right.
Like the last thing I heard was someone was slated to play Penguin.
Pattinson or
Robert Pattinson's Batman. They
And
changed
then-
out Alfred, or not Alfred. They changed. Yeah, they did. Alfred was changed out, and Commissioner Gordon was changed out, and Penguin. They said they got like a big name actress to play Penguin or actor, but I can't
And I
remember.
know talks broke down with Jonah Hill. I think
Jonah
he was
Hill
gonna play
wanted, like,
Riddler.
Yeah, he wanted a different, more money or screen time, something. I don't know what it was, but it was disagreement.
Talk just broke down. But yeah, so I'm still interested in seeing their movies because I know the stories are there and can be told. I've watched them in the New 52 movies that have come out. I know the stories are there and they can be told well because I've seen it. Like I know it's there. I don't know. In Endgame, I'm not. I really realistically like stacking movies now from before. Before I would be like Iron Man 1 is my favorite movie. Blah 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 whatever. And then, but now with Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse out there, Endgame out there, even some of the DC New 52 movies out there. Some of those movies are fantastic. So it's like the content is there even on both sides. You just trying to get it put in not necessarily the proper place, but like I know you can do this because it has been done. It has been done several times. Realistically, just do it. Don't try to differentiate yourself so much that you lose what makes this great anyway.
That's a good point.
And that's a product that. But let people do their thing. But get the right people to do their thing. Don't just like, hey, Zack Snyder, Joss Whedon, come make these movies and do something like that. Let someone do their thing.
Oh, Joss Whedon is still making a Batgirl movie, I think, because that was the deal.
Oh.
They bring him on for Justice League, and he was like, "Yeah, if you want me to do this movie, you're gonna let me do a Batgirl movie." And they're like, "Fine," because he's been wanting to do one for a long time. So,
Oh yeah, and I guess the Joker also is a part of that. We fucking mentioned everything, but realistically,
I mean, I don't. That's the thing is like
It's-
Joker was so
it
great
is.
that it was just like, oh, this is a DC movie. Like that's how terrible I feel about the DC movies. And I was like, oh, why does this
Yeah.
exist in the DC
I'm
universe?
sorry. I'm sorry, listeners who really made it this far. Like we talked about DC movies all this time. Didn't mention Joker.
Joker's
I
great.
could've
People go
seen-
watch the Joker. I
could've
liked
seen
it.
I didn't-
It's a decent movie.
I know.
It stands on its own. The issue with it being, it's like it didn't necessarily need to be about a character in the DC universe. I think that's where the fault lies. It's a great movie. I like it. I like the character. I like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Did it have to be Batman's Joker?
Right.
It could really be any clown you want to call him,
Right.
and it could be just like a guy
Right.
like going through this like psychological issue. So it's a great movie. Stands on its own. It doesn't really need to be tied to DC universe. That's my take on it.
But yeah, it's so separate. It's like I can't even give DC Universe props for this because like this is something else.
It's just an interesting character,
Right.
and like, I mean, it doesn't need the comic book aspect,
Right.
and it doesn't need to stand on that, which is a good testament to the movie
Right.
and the acting and the directing. But at the same time, I think it kind of looks bad on DC, just because this is gonna be weird, but I think it looks bad on DC just because the fact that like the comic book stuff, it doesn't need to be there.
Right. For you to make a good movie, and you have these other movies where you're trying to pull comic book stuff from, and you're fucking
Yes,
it up. So
exactly.
it's like where you have good stories,
All right.
good media and stuff, and you're just bumming it up, and someone can come in without it and do greatness.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think that's really about all of that. So
Yeah,
I don't want movies to be bad. I don't inherently believe they're going to be bad. Like
Yeah.
Aquaman, the trailers were kind of iffy, and I wasn't the most. Or no, I think I was relatively excited about going to see the movie, but it was just like how it was presented.
You were more
by
excited than I was.
Yeah.
I remember
And
going
I-
like, I don't think this movie's gonna be great.
Yeah, and I just didn't like it. So like, and I don't inherently want movies to be bad. I don't inherently think movies are going to be bad. But I have the ability. I'm not naive enough to like not recognize when a movie's like, yeah, this is
Game
I'm not
recognized
sure.
game.
I'm not sure what you're doing.
Those movies
And
are
I
looking
want all the
really
movies to be good.
unfamiliar.
I definitely enjoyed Shazam, and I'm looking forward to what they do with the actual superheroes in the rest of that universe.
Mhm.
Like I'm definitely looking forward to that on their side. I mean, I don't need to say I'm looking forward to Marvel movies because it's me.
Superhero movies are here to stay.
Right.
Those are new action
They're coming
movies.
for everything. Whatever you.
So whatever your
think
favorite
about,
thing is,
they
romance,
come realistic.
it doesn't matter.
Right. Animated. Into the Spider-Verse are the best animated movie ever. So I don't
Right.
know. I don't even know. It really doesn't matter. And to round out the podcast, talking to the favorite section, good old DComs. And this week's movie was Brink. I cannot remember the actor's name who stars in this, but I know his name is Andy Brinker. That's all you really need to know, realistically. And this is probably one of my favorite DComs. Right. But this is definitely my favorite DCOM. One of, if not my single favorite, because of just the follow through of the movie. Like movie has its tones. I mean, I probably remember a solid amount of it. Is like being the soul skaters. They skate because it's fun. They're not skating for any sort of like monetary thing, no capitalistic, corporate, none of that. They don't want to ruin inline skating, rollerblading for them. They're just doing it for the
Doing
fun
it for
of
the shreds, bro. Doing it for the love of it, dude.
Doing it for the love. I mean, and that's like definitely the thing where like you think about being like a separation, almost like being a kid versus being an adult. It's like what are you doing right now? You're doing it because it's fun. You're not doing it because you need to. You want to make money or whatever. You're doing it because
Don't want to be a
like,
freaking poser, dude, and
Right.
sell out, my guy.
you don't. Yeah, that's you don't be a-
Kind
you don't
of
be a
sell
sellout.
out, freaking yuppie, bro. That's what you want to be the rest of your life, is just a sellout, dude. Doing it for the fame and the fortune instead of like the love of it and
Right.
how it makes you feel when you hit that grind like super hard on your blades, my
I
guy.
think there's something else that like talks about that, like where you lose the purity of it. So like you become worse. You're just like you're not doing this for the right reason, and it's like it's the stuff you get worse. It's real interesting. But I definitely enjoyed the movie. What did you
You know what? It's not that bad of a movie. It's a 90s movie. I can get behind it. I get it. It's a rocket power movie. Like it's rocket power.
Yes.
It's rocket power, but it's just with live actors, and it's a bunch of white kids, so it's like less fun than rocket power. I know that sounds weird, and it's like sounds kind of racist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it's like it's not as diverse, so you're kind of just like
the girl on their team is like the one person kind of
Right.
behind them around. You know what I'm saying? No, I think there's a black guy on the other team, on Team X Blades. I think there's a black guy.
they put them on the they
back
put
of
them on the
the
sellout team. No, but like I think it's an okay movie. It's cheesy, it's corny. They got a lot of like dude's name is Brinker or Brinkston or
Andy Brinker.
oh god, like it's a terrible name. There's some stupid like pep talks, like his sister just like basically telling him like, "Yo, dweeb, like do better, dude."
Skate better.
And he's like, "You're right.
Skate better.
I should have." Oh my god. It's like an epiphany for this man.
He legit has an epiphany after his sister, after he's like, he sucks like in his first run, and his sister's like, skate better. He's like, that's it, I'm gonna go skate better. It's just like,
It's not like in the theme of the movie where it's just like, just let it go and like feel it, dude. Like you gotta feel it. It's none of that. It's like no, just like dude, like
He was a skate better.
just skate better, my guy.
and I think like the other part is like general synopsis of the movie, from what I can remember from my solid memory of seeing this movie probably over 10 years ago. Is like they're just they call themselves the Soul Skaters, the Losers Club, whatever. They're on their side, you know, and they're skating. There's this other guy who goes to their high school, and he's basically went pro or semi-pro, which on the team X Blades, and they have like this they're skating around competitions around the area, and then basically they get they're in the something, and Andy Brink needs to get a job. His name is Brink, like Brink Security, you know what I'm saying? But Brink needs to get like a job for some reason. He's working at this Pup and Suds place, like where they're washing dogs and stuff like that. But he needs to get more money. I don't really know why. I remember seeing his dad. His dad might have been in the movie.
I don't remember.
But for some reason he needs to get money. He's just trying to make money, like either to help his family or buy new skates or whatever he's trying to, whatever goal he's trying to accomplish. And then basically he's like, he realizes like he's watching these dogs and it's a lot of work for like not a lot of money. And then the guy's like, yeah, dude, you're a pretty solid skater. Like dudes, I mean, the antagonist of the thing is like effectively trying to corrupt and pull over to the dark side. It's like, yeah, man, you're not that bad a skater. You can probably get on the team, go pro, and like make a good bit of money. And I think he does. He does join them. Like he does join them. So that's like the falling out of like the Soul Skaters and Brink, because like he's trying to get money. I'm not sure what the cause was. He had a good reason, good enough reason to really go pro. I mean, it's like, oh hey, I went professional. I'm the worst guy in the world. I can't believe this. And I think they do some other stuff and they make like his teammate fall. Like he throws some rocks down, dude. Yeah, they were one of his friends, like the chick and like some other dude are racing, and some dude like throws some rocks on the street. She fucking falls and like. I mean, really, she just got some scrapes. I mean, she didn't break nothing, but it was some serious, like, concrete scrapes.
Dude, she ate it, bro. She ate it hard, dude. She beefed super hard, my dude.
But, like, so that, and the dude, like, that's when, like, Brink, like, leaves the team. He's like, oh, yeah, man, you threw rocks down, whatever, all that stuff. So he, like, leaves the team, and then he's like, but his friends aren't his friends anymore because he was, like, a part of their side when his friend got hurt. So he's like, yeah, dude. Nobody cares about you. Nobody wants you here anymore.
Freaking Shuby, my guy. Freaking poser, dude.
The ultimate poser.
Get out of here,
so then,
dude.
Like, he's trying to get the team back together, and he ends up, like, there's this super tournament, skate tournament coming on for a bunch of money that they're trying to get for whatever. I don't remember what they needed the money for.
Dude, kids need money, dude, for
Yeah,
pizza and, like,
money
for
things.
like, new skates, my guy.
Right.
Like,
So they enter
sweet
the tournament,
rides.
and they get sponsored by the place they watch dogs, so Team Pup and Suds versus Team X Blades, and they're skating in this.
Yo,
tournament.
what's weird, dude, is like they're like sponsored, so they're kind of like sellouts too, dude. Like, wait a minute.
But they're not corporate sponsored. You know, this is mom and pop shop sponsored. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so it's cool if you get money as long as it's from like someone
I
who's
think they-
kind of broke.
I think as the thing for like entering the tournament is you had to be sponsored by somebody. Like you couldn't have entered if you were just like random dudes. So they had to get sponsored by like someone. Like I think someone had to put like some money forward for you to like skate in the competition.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So it's like yeah, you had to be sponsored.
I guess
You
it's
couldn't-
like
you couldn't come out
pure-
willy-nilly. Like
It's family
we're Team
business.
Soul Skaters sponsored by grandma. I don't know. It was like yeah, they had to be like actually have someone. I mean, though Team X Blades was like skating this tournament just to crush people, just to be like, yeah, we're here, we're real professional skaters, we're to crush people just because. So then like skating through the tournament, Team Puppet Suds doing good, blah blah blah, whatever. It basically comes down to like the last race, which is like almost decathlon type deal with skates, some weird things.
Go around cones, go up ramps, go down ramps, go downhill, go uphill, dude. Sick
Race
grinds,
these,
dude.
These slaloms, these cones, and all those type of stuff. And it's between Brink and the main bad guy. Who knows what his name is? And call him Lars. Who knows?
Lars.
It probably was.
Probably like Chad.
Probably legitimately probably was like Chad or Lars. And they like skate, and Brink wins, and then that's it. And that's the last.
That's the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's like
Brink learned his lesson that you don't sell out, dude. You stick with your soul skater bros,
yeah,
because that's your soul.
yeah.
So
Not that Brink skated any worse when he was a part of the other team. That dude was an asshole. I don't know why he threw it on rocks. That was realistically like the one wild thing that happened in the movie. I think he pushed somebody else at some other point. I mean, it's racing, whatever. I mean, but he like throwing on the rocks and the chick getting hurt was like, fuck. But everything else was realistically like, yeah, this dude's just getting money out here.
still not as good of a skate competition as the Goofy movie or the Max.
Oh yeah.
Max, What was it called?
This extremely goofy movie.
Extremely Goofy Movie, which is like
The second
a
one,
way better
when Max is in college.
skate movie.
Skate movie. Okay, it's way better. I think it's a way better movie than like the first Goofy movie. I was like, I don't know about that.
Oh no, I didn't say that.
Hardline
It's
would have
better skate
1,000
movie than
pounds.
Brink.
I mean, yeah, probably.
But yeah, it was okay. I guess you can go watch it. It's whatever. It's on Disney Plus, so
Yeah.
why not? If you already got it, check it out.
Become
Decent movie.
definitely a decent watch. And next week,
So yeah, next week, what are we watching?
take a look here.
We're looking it up right now.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is wild production stuff.
We are a little bit long in the tooth this episode. We
Yeah.
do apologize. We kind of went on about movies. We love movies here,
We
so
love movies. Yeah.
we're just gonna
if we
gonna
catch
spill.
movies, we're gonna go watch.
we'll try to
Next we'll do
shorten
Halloween
these.
Town.
Halloween Town, everybody's favorite. It's a little bit weird to have it right now
in
because
Christmas, but yeah,
we're around Christmas. So
Hey, we do what we gotta do.
this
you know
is
what I'm saying?
chronological order.
It's
So
chronological as I remember the movie. If I haven't seen the movie, I'm not going. into
Halloween
it.
Town is definitely on Disney Plus. So
and it's definitely one of the premier movies that you hear people
you
talking
have
about.
probably seen it. If you've
Yeah.
watched any kind of Disney Channel movies, you've definitely seen Halloween Town. So yeah, go ahead and check that movie out. You can join in our discussion, or at least kind of laugh along, or kind of tell us
Understand.
how wrong we are when we
Right.
try to describe it next week.
I'm really recalling it from. True
I
memory.
watch the movies, but I watch them very passively in the background. I'm not gonna lie; these movies are really ass. So I'm not. They're like borderline Hallmark movies. They're like
Okay, I mean, I can do it. I can see it.
yeah. So
Because of your premise is a little. I mean, it's always some character doing. I mean, I guess
some mildly privileged
Under Wraps
character
is relatively
going
different than
through
everything else.
something that's kind of difficult, but not really, because it's not like they're broke or anything.
Right.
Now these characters are like poor
or
anything. Like Airbud, that's not a Disney movie, but like Airbud, that guy lives in a huge house.
rich. And his dog is
He's got a
amazing
basketball court like right outside.
And his dog's amazing at basketball. That's man, I can.
It's hard for me to relate to a lot of these kids. Toy Soldiers, that kid had, or Small Soldiers.
Small soldiers.
That kid's dad owned a toy store.
Yes. Or no,
He worked at a toy store.
the chick worked at a toy store. Is that no?
His dad owned it because they were like lock up or whatever at the end of the night.
I'm trying to remember because the chick was.
Hey, that's a
there
good
in the
movie,
toy
though.
store.
The chick was there.
His dad. I know
The
made the
chick was
boats.
no, the chick was bringing her little brother in to buy a toy.
You are right.
Hey, look, man, I love Small Soldiers. It's a great movie. Go watch that movie.
Go watch Small Soldiers.
Why can't we watch like Mighty Ducks or something, man? That's an awesome movie, and it's on Disney Plus, and I love it. I guess it doesn't work as well of a.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll do like Disney sports movies. There's a ton of those, or like sports movies with animals. I would
Right.
love to do an Airbud series.
Or just the things that have spawned off Airbud. Freaking
Oh no! I don't think I can put myself through that.
Dunstan checks in.
But yeah, man, you know what? That's all we had this week. So we hope that you guys had a good time listening. Again, sorry it went a little long, but you
I
know,
mean, we didn't have the episode last week. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta
we got to double up. They're gonna be shorter, so hopefully y'all aren't complaining. I know it's a little long. You probably
and we enjoy ourselves and getting to talk about the news and stuff. We have more comments on the news than just hey, this is the thing that happened.
yeah, we want to keep you guys informed.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys learned something. We're trying to be y'all's plug essentially for some of this news that's coming
some
out.
of this new stuff, yeah, especially like low key stuff, the Wonder Woman things.
A little bit of
Wonder Woman
insight
werewolf.
and characters, like, oh, I didn't know Doctor Doom or whatever. I mean, none of this stuff is solid as of yet, but
right.
like, you know, maybe you learned something, maybe you
You heard
pulled
it here
something away.
first, you know what I'm saying?
So that's great. But yeah. So in any case, that was all I had.
That's all I got. We're gonna wrap this episode up. So appreciate the love we've gotten so far, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you guys.
Peace.